Morning! It's super cold. Don't worry, I'm not going to keep this on. It's really early. Like really early. Really early. Up super duper early. It's always tea time here. Okay, so yesterday I was back in court and my ex and his solicitor have put forward that I am suffering with my mental health. Again, still moving forward. And that's all I'm going to say. That's all I'm going to say. True statement. That's what's happening. So I would thought I would discuss my thoughts on mental health. And my dealings with the mental health support over the years and how I have been helping others to treat or express their mental health. So I'm probably going to say things that you don't agree with, and that's completely fine. My thoughts on mental health might be a little bit different to what's actually been taught in to the masses. So like, I'm just laughing at every time I say like, I know that I'm saying it and I still can't stop myself from saying it. It's become so habitual now. Like, it's not even a joy. I'm going to train it out of myself. Anyway. So, mental health. And when does it start becoming a problem? Realistically, I would like to know how other people can diagnose what's going on in somebody else's brain. Like, that's number one. That's what I want to know. Especially when somebody's been dealing with the same problem since childhood and they see it as part of who they are and have no real marked change in their mood or their life. I don't understand how somebody else is meant to decipher exactly what's going on inside their minds. Number two, most people don't actually realise that they are struggling with their mental health because most of them have had to deal with it most of their lives. Number three, I think there's a lot of factors that roll into your mental health, including your hormone balances, your diet, how you live your life, your friends, your family, your lifestyle, your job, your overall health. There's so many variables in that. Your level of trauma. If you've been in trauma, I would say that pretty much every single person on the planet has had some sort of trauma in their life. And can I just point out as well, I feel like I need to highlight this. Trauma can be anything to anybody. that's caused them a great amount of distress, and for whatever period of time. A job where you're not appreciated can be extremely traumatic. Being ignored by a sibling can be extremely traumatic. A pregnancy can be extremely traumatic. A codependent relationship with a parent can be extremely traumatic. Having a car crash, however big or small, can be extremely traumatic. Living in poverty is extremely traumatic. Having an abusive parent, extremely traumatic. Anything to anybody can be traumatic. It's not for us to decide what is traumatic. I just need to put that out there, because there's so much online and on social media about people playing down other people's experiences. It's not on. I'm just going to put that out there on a serious note. And now back to what I was saying. So, mental health. What did I get to? 4? Are we on 4? In the deciding factors of mental health, it could actually be as simple as your hormones not balancing. That can be swaying your mood. It can be a lack of dopamine. It can be a lack of serotonin. It can be the fact that you're not doing any exercise. It can be the fact that you're not getting enough sunlight. It can be the fact that your partner is constantly talking down to you all the time and getting into your subconscious. It can be that you have trauma trapped in your subconscious that you don't even know that's there. You could be having mental health worries because you keep having nightmares. There are a lot of factors in mental health, and a lot of them can be cured by finding out what is actually causing the issues. My experiences of going anywhere near a GP with stress or worry or depression, this is, I'm talking some years ago when I was a lot younger. First thing that they will offer is medication. Which is a completely loaded subject, and I don't think that I want to get into that. Actually, yeah, I will address it, because my views on medication for mental health have changed somewhat over the years, let me say. My thoughts is that I believe that mental health medication in the short term can be effective. It can lift someone out of a very dark place. The long-term effects of mental health medication, I believe, are extremely bad. Number one is because I feel like it numbs the individual. So therefore, if you're not feeling, you're not working and you're not sorting it out. Number two, if you are put in a unnatural state of being, then you will become used to that, because obviously it's a lot nicer than how you were feeling before. And number three, this actually suppresses the issues, problems, whatever you were dealing with before. And by suppressing emotions, feelings, memories, and all the rest of it, you're actually causing more harm to your physical body, which I'll discuss in another post, and you're not actually addressing the problem. And obviously there's all the side effects of the medication that realistically, people don't really know the long-term effects of mental health medication, mainly because it's not been around long enough. And then I just want to do a little side note. So drugs, are they using psilocybin? There are certain drugs that are now being used for mental health medications and studies. In the research that I have done in regards to natural drugs like DMT and psilocybin and microdosing and all that kind of stuff, I feel like under controlled, very controlled circumstances, that would be a safer, more effective, quick fix, if that was what the person was after, whilst actually having therapy of some description that person felt drawn, resonated with. So I talk quite openly that I took my own life twice. Once when I was very young. I knew at the time that if I took a lot of medication and I drunk with it, then that would have the desired effect. And I knew that from being really, really young. Obviously, it's portrayed in the media. Things were readily available in my house, in my home. And how can I say it? I wasn't even suffering from depression at the time when I was younger. But I knew that what I was doing would make the situation stop. And that's all I wanted at the time, was for the situation to stop, for my life as it was at that time, just to stop. And because I felt like I had no other options and no other power, being so young, that was I felt that was my only option, and for being so young. Now, at the time, I very much felt like I was taking my power back, that I was taking ownership of my life, because I felt so out of control. I felt like I had no say, that nobody cared. I'd been asking for help for years. I felt like I couldn't talk to anyone because of the way that my family was constructed, and we didn't talk to anyone about what was going on at home. I was living in a very abusive home. We all were. it was not nice. Sorry, I'm just looking at the clouds. I'm gonna move my space and sit somewhere else because I can't not look. Yeah, so for me at the time, I was very rational about what I was doing. I wasn't crying, I wasn't upset, I wasn't angry. I was just like, this is what I'm doing. I'm taking my power back. I'm sorting out, I'm doing what I need to do. And I was taken to hospital, and the doctors were speaking to my parents, and that was it. That was it. Nothing came of that. Doctor said, "Do you want to speak to anyone?" And I was just like, "No, I don't need to speak to anyone. I know what I was doing. I know I felt completely in control of myself and what I was up to." I didn't even really feel disappointed that it hadn't done the desired effect. It was just like, it was almost like I'd go on, done something that I actually wanted to do for a change. Whether it worked or not wasn't really the desired effect. I think I'd probably I'd scared the absolute shite out of my mum. I don't think my mum had the courage to even bring it up. I think that's the only thing that I feel bad about, is the way it would have affected my mum. But yeah, the situation still carried on, and I still lived life in the same situation that I was previously. And the reason why I'm talking about it, because I think that mental health is when people do things that to society seem so, outrageous, and how could they do that? Why would they do it? So serious, and it's a really big deal. And my challenge to that is, they felt like they were led to that point, that they had no choice to go to that point. Like, nobody knows somebody's breaking point. That can only be decided by that individual when they've had enough, when no more is no more. It only can be decided by that person. And I have found that the person who's talking about taking their own life is not the person that's going to take their own life. It's the person that's quiet that you have to worry about, because they've already decided. And that is why we need to listen. And we don't listen to people, we tell. Every time I've walked into a doctor's surgery and spoken to a GP, and I mean every single time, and I've mentioned anything to do with that I'm struggling, or that I'm worrying, or I've got anxiety, or that I'm crying all the time, anything like that. And I'm talking years ago. This is a lot of years ago, when I was this is before losing my mum, before this is more than 15 years ago. 15 years ago? It's a really freaking long time. I would say how I was feeling, and It's the same. It's the same. No questions about how you're living your life. No questions about if you're in an abusive situation. No questions. No blood tests for hormone imbalances. No checking up on what you're eating. No discussing what you're doing for work. No conversations about past trauma. No conversations about how you're getting on with your friends and your relationships. Literally, the conversation about mental health is so superficial that I have no idea how somebody can diagnose someone with mental health. It's only when you get to see actual psychologists and therapists that is where some diagnosis can happen. And that's quite far down the line. And the waiting lists for that are months. And God knows what they are at the moment with everything that's going on. There's just not enough people to help people, not enough people to listen. But the point I'm trying to make is, as a community, as a support system, we do not listen to people. We're not open. We're not creating space for individuals to really, really talk. And there's lots of reasons why that happens. But this is the thing that we need to change. Instead of telling, instead of helping, instead of marking somebody, instead of putting somebody into a box, all we need to do is create the space to listen. Without judgment, without a reply, without an answer, without a suggestion, without anything other than love. That's all that needs to happen. And this is for everybody across the board. There are so many things that go into somebody's mental health that there is no way that somebody else can diagnose another person. Even professionals who have seen me and other people that I've spoken to as well, the amount of people that have come forward to me and told me that they've seen therapists that cannot even open them up, that can't even build basic rapport with them to be able to sit there and create space for them to talk openly. They're going to school, they're going to university, they're going to all this training, they've got 1 billion letters after their name, and they don't even have the basic energy field or rapport or loving nature to be able to get these people to even open up and say words out of their mouth. So how the hell are they going to help them? There's so many variables to mental health. So many. Our subconscious has a humongous deal to do with our mental health. I was sexually abused for most of my childhood, and my brain had done the most amazing job of protecting me because it was so traumatic that it had pushed it so far into my subconscious that I didn't even know that it had happened to me. I would have nightmares about it every so often when I was really stressed out, and that would be it. Until I had therapy, 6 sessions of therapy with a professional, and it pulled all my memories out of my subconscious and left them in my consciousness. Absolutely fucked me up on a whole new level. That was a professional, and a professional left me in that state. I went to her for stress, because the all the crap that was happening in my subconscious was causing me great amounts of stress. I'll talk about this in another post because I am getting on a bit now. In 6 sessions that were paid, I couldn't pay for 40 quid an hour. Got it through the council. I was lucky enough. It left those 6 sessions left me in a completely traumatized state. For 2 years of my life, I can't actually pull a memory. Probably more than that, actually. Is it more than that? I was completely traumatized. My brain has completely blocked out the therapy. I can't even remember the therapy. I can't even get back to it. The whole thing was completely traumatic. And other people that I've spoken to have had some extremely traumatic situations with therapists. I honestly don't believe in the way that universities teach mental health. I don't. And I've had so much experience to say that comment. And other therapists who have started to have been to school, been to university, and done all their things, they have even started finding more natural energy healing ways, holistic ways, and come away from the indoctrinated university stuff, because it doesn't address real problems with people. There's so many factors. I'm gonna do another post on this because this is just such a humongous topic. But in short, the only person that can really say whether they're struggling with their mental health is the person that's struggling. It's up to us to listen. It's not up to us to diagnose. It's not up to us to fix. All that we're meant to do is to support. If someone comes to you and says they're struggling, the answer should be, what do you need me to do? And when they talk, listen. Their reality can be completely different to yours, but that doesn't mean that it's wrong. And you've got no idea, absolutely no idea what that person is going through. Even if you've lived with them for 20 years, you really have no idea what that person is going through until you let them talk. It's up to you to create a safe space. No resentment, no anger, no judgment, just space. A loving space.